The long-awaited Assassin's Creed Ninja game is finally upon us, and just last week we got our first proper look at gameplay for the upcoming AC Shadows. This is the first mainline Assassin's Creed game since AC Mirage, and the first open-world RPG Assassin's Creed game since 2020's AC Valhalla. But more importantly, the fans have been asking for a ninja-themed game in this franchise since the Xbox 360 era, and after all this time, Ubisoft is finally delivering. After that gameplay reveal, guys, we have a ton of gameplay details to talk about, so be sure to check the video chapters for easy viewing. Don't forget to enter the PS5 giveaway. Those details are in the pinned comment, and let's dive in. So if you watch the gameplay reveal, you know that Assassin's Creed Shadows will have two playable protagonists, similar to Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and both characters will have very different gameplay styles. The first character being Yasuke, which is a samurai character who is based loosely on the real-life historical figure of the same name, and then there is Naoe, the shinobi. Now, after we go over the character-specific things, I'll be talking more about the universal aspects of gameplay, such as the environments and NPC interactions, but more on that in a bit. Now, according to Ubisoft, the two characters will have plenty of missions unique to each other, but there will also be major plot points where you can choose which character you want to play as. So you won't be locked to one character the entire game, and you'll more or less be able to swap between them whenever you want, but there will still be plenty of character-specific content for you to experience. Now, as for the gameplay details specific to Yasuke, Yasuke of course is a samurai, and as such is going to have a pretty direct combat style. The gameplay video was immediately being compared to Sucker Punch's Ghost of Tsushima, which is fair since that's a very high-profile samurai game that a lot of people still consider to be one of the best games of the 2020s. Now, in fighting as Yasuke, the gameplay loop will be primarily about one-on-one combat, breaking enemy stances, damaging their armor, and finishing them off with flashy animations, often resulting in some kind of dismemberment, including potential ejectocranium. You'll also be able to parry enemy attacks, and there will be a combat stance system, which seems to be similar to Ghost of Tsushima, allowing you to adjust the position of your weapon to counter enemy movements, added an element of rock, paper, scissors to the engagements. In addition to katanas, and yes, you'll be able to dual wield katanas as Yasuke, you'll also have access to a ranged weapon called the Tempo Gun that will allow you to engage with enemies from a distance. If the gameplay footage we got for Yasuke actually looks how it plays, then I'm fully on board. Like, the gameplay of that looked really solid, and the style is going to be tailored to people that like to just go in guns blazing. But if you're looking for the classic stealth action that Assassin's Creed is known for, the second playable character is a shinobi named Naoe, and as you'd expect, her playstyle is very different from Yasuke's. As a shinobi, she will be more stealth focused and will have a grappling hook for traversing the environments. Apparently, Naoe's grappling hook is going to be entirely physics based instead of being pre-animated or function off of predetermined locations, which will add a bit of skill to it and force you to get good at learning distances and angles if you want to use it effectively. Naoe also has access to a Kusarigama, which is a chain attached to a whip, allowing her to maintain some distance between her and her enemies, which will obviously come in handy. Naoe will also be able to go prone and peek corners to get the drop on enemies. She'll also be able to quietly extinguish light sources, so she can stay in the shadows like a proper shinobi. From all of the gameplay that we've had of Naoe, this is about to be an exciting character to play as. With all of the work that Ubisoft has done to the Anvil engine, with that new level of destruction as well as ray tracing and literally shadows being a thing, like if you go into the shadows, NPCs won't see you. So just like a shinobi does, you will have to use the shadows to your advantage in gameplay that looks exhilarating, that truly looks like the next generation of Assassin's Creed games. Now, diving into the more broader gameplay details, Assassin's Creed Shadows is changing a lot of things from the previous game in the series, and it's going to be the most advanced Ubisoft game to date. For starters, it's built on an updated version of the Anvil engine and will not be released on the PS4 or Xbox One, which is really only good news for those of you with next-gen hardware. Now, there was a bit of confusion over this a while back when a PS4 version of this game seemingly leaked, but Ubisoft has since confirmed that this game will only be released on PC and the 9th generation consoles. So perhaps there was a PS4 version in development at some point, but then they decided to cancel it to focus on the current gen consoles. It could be that Ubisoft decides to release the current gen and then maybe later on in the future they port the game to the 8th generation console, similar to how Hogwarts Legacy did things, but I highly doubt that. Now, if the game sells well, it could happen eventually, but I wouldn't get your hopes up at all. Next up, just how big is Assassin's Creed Shadows going to be? AC Shadows takes place in the year 1579 in feudal Japan and will feature an open world map roughly the size of Assassin's Creed Origins, which was roughly 31 square miles. And personally, I think that's a nice change from the massive maps that Ubisoft has been criticized for. The bigger the map doesn't mean the better the game. And just to put these size into perspective, the open world map in Ghost of Tsushima is roughly 28 square miles, so Assassin's Creed Shadows will be slightly bigger than Ghost 1, which I personally think is a good size, because Ghost of Tsushima's map was the perfect size for a game set in feudal Japan. Ubisoft has put a ton of effort into making the environment more interactive interactive than ever before, which means the map is going to be more destructive than any Assassin's Creed game to date. You'll be able to stab and slice set pieces and parts of the environments, and you'll be able to see them react realistically to the kind of weapon you're using. So not only will this be more immersive, but you'll be able to use it to your advantage. And there will even be a new dynamic lighting system affected by things like sunlight, torches, and lanterns, and more. This is the first Assassin's Creed game that will use real-time ray tracing thanks to all of the updates to the Anvil engine. All of these aspects are going to play into the updated stealth mechanics that clearly took influence from Ubisoft's classic Splinter Cell games, allowing you to take out light sources and hide in the shadows, causing NPCs to walk right by you without noticing you if there's nothing illuminating your body. This also means that stealth will be easier at night since there won't be any sunlight. Now, by far the best part of Assassin's Creed Shadows in terms of the game world, this game will have a complete seasonal system, meaning the world will progress through spring, summer, fall, and winter as you continue playing. And each of these seasons will have unique changes to the map. For example, ponds will freeze in the water, so you won't be able to hide in the water like you can in other seasons. Grass will also grow tall in the spring, so you could hide in it, but when the grass dies, those hiding spots will be gone. The winter will also come with icicles that can fall and crack, causing sound to give away your location, and the winter will also cause snowfall that can result in your footsteps being seen by enemies. So far, it sounds like to me the winter will basically be the game in hard mode, but the visuals are going to be breathtaking. The sound of rain will also make it harder for enemies to hear your footsteps, so if you're looking to play the game on easy mode, do your stealth missions at night when it's raining for the most handicaps possible. Now, this game will also have a custom hideout system where you could camp out in between missions and train your own league of shinobi warriors, interact with characters, build relationships, craft gear and weapons, and even change the layout and decorations to make it feel more like home. There are also going to be castles spread around the map that act as levels within themselves, kind of like dungeons and other open world games. Apparently, the team wanted the experience to be more open-ended and less linear with how the objectives are laid out and designed, as many open world Ubisoft games have been criticized for being over generous with all of the map markers, objective markers, and just a bunch of clutter on the screen. AC Shadows will let you go after assassination targets in any order and will force you to fill out the map elements by yourself instead of just throwing a bunch of icons and objective markers on your screen. So instead of finding a synchronization point that reveals points of interest like other Ubisoft open world games, you'll have to find your way to a vantage point and actually look at the points of interest yourself before they'll show up on your map, which I think is a nice way to encourage exploration and more organic gameplay. I feel like this game really took some notes from Ghost of Tsushima on how to do a feudal Japan game right, and how to do an Assassin's Creed game right for that matter, because Ghost of Tsushima literally is just an Assassin's Creed game with an amazing narrative and a beautiful open world, so hopefully they took as many notes as possible. So next up, we actually have some details about the post-launch support for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which should bode well for the amount of content in the base game. Now, according to the Season Pass, Assassin's Creed Shadows will receive 2 expansions. The graphic says this, and I quote, "2 upcoming expansions explore new lands, meet new characters, and unravel new mysteries." And then at the bottom it says, plus extra mission available at launch, which you can get by picking up the gold edition. Now, this should obviously come to no surprise, as Ubisoft is pretty good whenever it comes to supporting their games with expansions after the initial release, but hopefully this is content that is added and not content that is cut from the base game. But whenever it comes to these 2 new expansions, my guess is these are actually going to be similar to Ghost of Tsushima's DLC, like the Iki Island expansion, which obviously is a new island that was added to the game. With Japan having multiple different islands, I would assume that any of the future expansion content will just be another island full of content. But what do you guys think about all of these new Assassin's Creed Shadows details? Is this the Assassin's Creed Shinobi game that you've been waiting for? It's definitely not going to be Ghost of Tsushima 2, but even if it's similar to it, I am going to be really excited to play it. I'm most intrigued about the Naoe gameplay. All of the improvements being made to the open world, the environments compared to previous Ubisoft sandboxes has me 100% sold. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are in the comment section below, guys. Do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe with your notifications turned on so you're not missing out on any future gaming news and updates. Don't forget to enter the PS5 giveaway. Those details are in the pinned comment. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.